This is TechCrunch.
Buried in an ocean of flashy novelties announced by Apple this week, the tech giant also revealed new security technology for its latest iPhone 17 and iPhone Air devices. This new security technology was made specifically to fight against surveillance vendors and the types of vulnerabilities they rely on the most. The feature is called Memory Integrity Enforcement and is designed to help stop memory corruption bugs, which are some of the most common vulnerabilities exploited by spyware developers and makers of phone forensic devices used by law enforcement. Apple wrote in a blog post, "Known mercenary spyware chains used against iOS share a common denominator with those targeting Windows and Android. They exploit memory safety vulnerabilities, which are interchangeable, powerful, and exist throughout the industry." Cybersecurity experts, including people who make hacking tools and exploits for iPhones, tell TechCrunch that this new security technology could make Apple's newest iPhones some of the most secure devices on the planet. The result is likely to make life harder for the companies that make spyware and zero-day exploits for planting spyware on a target's phone or extracting data from them. The iPhone 17 is probably now the most secure computing environment on the planet that is still connected to the internet. A security researcher who has worked on developing and selling zero days and other cyber capabilities to the US government for years told TechCrunch. The researcher told TechCrunch that MIE will raise the cost and time to develop their exploits for the latest iPhones and consequently up their prices for paying customers. The researcher, who asked to remain anonymous to discuss sensitive matters, said, "This is a huge deal. It's not hack-proof, but it's the closest thing we have to hack-proof. None of this will ever be 100% perfect, but it raises the stakes the most." Jiska Clausen, a professor and researcher who studies iOS at the Hasso-Plattner Institute in Germany, agreed that MIE will raise the cost of developing surveillance technologies. Clausen said this is because some of the bugs and exploits that spyware companies and researchers have that currently work will stop working once the new iPhones are out and MIE is implemented. Patrick Wardle said, "This will make their life arguably infinitely more difficult." Wardle, a researcher who runs a startup that makes cybersecurity products specifically for Apple devices, added, "Of course that is said with the caveat that it's always a cat and mouse game." Wardle said people who are worried about getting hacked with spyware should upgrade to the new iPhones. The experts TechCrunch spoke to said MIE will reduce the efficacy of both remote hacks, such as those launched with spyware like NSO Group's Pegasus and Paragon's Graphite. It will also help to protect against physical device hacks, such as those performed with phone unlocking hardware like Cellebrite or Graykey. Most modern devices, including the majority of iPhones today, run software written in programming languages that are prone to memory-related bugs, often called memory overflow or corruption bugs. When triggered, a memory bug can cause the contents of memory from one app to spill into other areas of a user's device where it shouldn't go. Memory-related bugs can allow malicious hackers to access and control parts of a device's memory that they shouldn't be permitted to. The access can be used to plant malicious code that's capable of gaining broader access to a person's data stored in the phone's memory and exfiltrating it over the phone's internet connection. MIE aims to defend against these kinds of broad memory attacks by vastly reducing the attack surface in which memory vulnerabilities can be exploited. According to Halvar Flake, an expert in offensive cybersecurity, memory corruptions are the vast majority of exploits. MIE is built on a technology called memory tagging extension, originally developed by chipmaker ARM. In its blog post, Apple said over the past 5 years it worked with ARM to expand and improve the memory safety features into a product called Enhanced Memory Tagging Extension. MIE is Apple's implementation of this new security technology, which takes advantage of Apple having complete control of its technology stack, from software to hardware, unlike many of its phone-making competitors. Google offers MTE for some Android devices. The security-focused Graphene OS, a custom version of Android, also offers MTE. But other experts say Apple's MIE goes a step further. Flake said the Pixel 8 and Graphene OS are almost comparable, but the new iPhones will be the most secure mainstream devices. MIE works by allocating each piece of a newer iPhone's memory with a secret tag, effectively its own unique password. This means only apps with that secret tag can access the physical memory in the future. If the secret doesn't match, the security protections kick in and block the request, the app will crash, and the event is logged. That crash and log is particularly significant since it's more likely for spyware and 0 days to trigger a crash, making it easier for Apple and security researchers investigating attacks to spot them. Matthias Freilingsdorf, the vice president of research at iVerify, a company that makes an app to protect smartphones from spyware, said, "A wrong step would lead to a crash and a potentially recoverable artifact for a defender. Attackers already had an incentive to avoid memory corruption." MIE will be on by default system-wide, which means it will protect apps like Safari and iMessage, which can be entry points for spyware. But third-party apps will have to implement MIE on their own to improve protections for their users. Apple released a version of EMTE for developers to do that. In other words, MIE is a huge step in the right direction, but it will take some time to see its impact, depending on how many developers implement it and how many people buy new iPhones. Some attackers will inevitably still find a way. Freilingsdorf said, "MIE is a good thing and it might even be a big deal. It could significantly raise the cost for attackers and even force some of them out of the market. But there are going to be plenty of bad actors that can still find success and sustain their business. As long as there are buyers, there will be sellers." That's it from TechCrunch. For more bite-sized crunchable tech stories like these, go to TechCrunch.com.